Now, an absentee ballot chase program is a little bit different. That is, an individual has to request a ballot. So let me walk through the steps of that. You start with a voter identified list. Ideally, people that you know are voting for you or likely to vote for you or have confirmed they're voting for you. You don't want to remind people to vote who aren't going to vote for you. Crisis or not crisis, bad idea. So you start with a list of identified voters. You contact those voters, and sometimes you can determine if they're historically an absentee ballot person. That usually also is helpful. And you ask them if they need an absentee ballot request form. They say yes, they say no. If they say yes, you send it to them or show them or email them or tell them how to get it. Then you follow up with those individuals that have requested and that they've received their ballot and then receive the form and that they've mailed it or turned it in. If you're normally in a normal time, you could, hand it over to them personally, but we may not be able to do that. In theory, they get their ballot delivered, mailed to them, right? And in theory, they turn it in. And most secretaries of state, election division, board of elections, no matter where you live, usually can request a list of returned ballots or a requested absentee ballot, a list, right? So let's just say you had Mary, Sam, and Carol. You get a list from the Secretary of State, and Mary, Sam, and Carol on your list say they all want to vote absentee, and they all should have turned in their forms. And now you just see Mary, and Carol only actually requested a ballot, and Mary's the only one who turned it in. And I should have written these names down. And so now you got to call. So Mary turned it in. So now you got to call Carol and see that she requested it and follow up with Carol to be sure that she's actually turned her ballot in. Now Sam, he requested the ballot. He told you he wanted to vote absentee. Well, now I would call Sam and say, hey, did you ever turn them in that form? Do I need to send it? Do you need another copy? And you go and you just keep doing that rotation all the way through your list. So you get the list from the Secretary of State or Election Division or the Board of Elections, wherever you live. You check off your list like Santa Claus, who's requested what, who's turned it in, and then you follow up with people who are outstanding, aka their ballots have not been received by the Secretary of State, and you repeat that whole process until all the ballots that you're anticipating have been received. You can do same process. You can do that same process with mail-in ballots, except now everyone's received it. You should probably call and check. Sometimes, depends where you live, not all the ballots get mailed out in that same week. Sometimes they get staged, a precinct to precinct to precinct within a certain window. So sometimes your election clerk in whatever area you are will usually kind of tell you if you ask nicely. If not, you can make your best guess. Doesn't matter. But just so you know, these types of programs are labor intensive. But like we said, early votes mailed and turned in are banked votes. They're really, really, really important. So the key with absentee ballot programs are identify, target, do your outreach, follow up, verify, follow up, repeat over and over until all of your votes are in. You can also do this if you're a bigger campaign, a state legislator or a federal campaign. Sometimes people will do absentee ballot mail phone programs where they'll mail out a mailer, and then everyone's tied to a code, and then they'll tie it to phones and so on. And you can do it that way as well. Or you can pre-mail everyone an absentee ballot form if you want. But if you're a local candidate like I've been all my life, I got to do it the hard way, which is good old-fashioned elbow grease.